Well, greetings everyone. Welcome to this new art tip that we're going to do today. We're doing something a little different. I'm going to show you how I use Photoshop to turn a regular daytime photograph into a nocturne or a sunset. All right, so in order for this to work, and this is very important, especially for tonalism and low light scenes, if you want to have great references to work from, you've got to get Photoshop. All right. So just go on the internet and you can download Photoshop. They have packages where you can pay monthly. It's definitely worth it. I use Photoshop every day. It took my art to the next level. So very, very important. All right. So in Photoshop, I will drag in or I'll just open, right? I'll pick a photo. You can use any type of photo. It can be a low quality cell phone photo or a high quality one. So I picked this one. And there is a feature in Photoshop called sky replacement. All right, so right here in edit. Now this never used to be the case. Back before this sky replacement tool, I would have to cut and paste the sky, or I'd have to just do it myself. If I wanted to turn it into a nocturne, I would pick a dark blue from the color down here, the color picker. And I would have to paint, literally digitally paint the sky. Dark. You get the idea. And then I'd have to darken this down here by going to the adjustments under image, going to brightness and contrast, and darkening all of that. So I had to do all this stuff to turn my photos into nocturnes. And now they've simplified it so you can literally go to sky replacement and you have a library of different photos to choose from. So you can combine all of your other photos. It automatically will have their sky highlighted and you can pick that and it will turn. See, isn't that wonderful? It will turn your photo into a sunset. So then you can adjust the scale. So you can zoom in or back. Can't go too far. You can flip it. So if it's a sky you've painted before and you don't want to just copy the same sky, a great tool is to just flip the sky. Now all of a sudden it's a new sunset. Like the clouds look different. Your collectors or fans won't look at it as being too similar to a past one. But I think it's okay to repeat yourself. As long as your work is getting better, I repeat myself all the time. So we're going to turn this into a sunset because I really like the look of this actually. Now, here's an issue. I like the balance of this right now. Like I like this. I don't want it zoomed in further, meaning like I don't want it like that. I like it like this. But the sky is not, if you look up here, it's not reaching all the way to the top. I'll show you how to fix that. But also, the landscape doesn't fit the sunset now, right? So what do? Well, it allows you down here in the foreground adjustments to play with it. You can darken the sky on the horizon there. And you can darken the foreground lighting. See? And then I can darken it further. That looks about right. And you can also adjust the temperature. So if it's a warm scene, you can adjust the temperature and warm it up a little bit, and it'll warm the whole thing. Okay. So now that I've got this, I'm going to select with the color picker the sky up here. And I'm going to go to, this is your section with all your tools. This is your brush tool. So you just look for the one that looks like a paintbrush. You click that. And now I have a round tool. And then up here on the top, you have your opacity. So, whoop, I got to pick the sky color again. There we go. Oh, I'm messing up here. Oh, that's right. This gets pretty complicated. I'm sorry. There is these are the layers over here. So I'm actually going to pick, I still struggle with Photoshop quite a bit. So in the interest of making it simple, if you don't have time to learn all this, you can just come in and you could just crop the photo out like that. Or leave it raw and just use it as inspiration to paint from. You don't have to make your photo look perfect, right? It's just meant to spur your creativity. So this is a great tool. Another thing I will do in Photoshop is if I want the scene to be a color harmony that harmonizes with if I want the sky to harmonize with the landscape, I'll pick a color from the sky and then I'll go much darker, and I'll go to the paintbrush again, and then I'll go to the opacity and turn the opacity down so it's like a glaze. And here, let me turn it up so you can see. Sorry, this has been. So I've selected, if you look in the layers down here, there's the first layer, which is the background, the grass and whatnot, before we put the sky replacement over. So I select that background. And then I go up to the opacity and I turn it down. And now I can lightly tone the foreground. So I'm clicking, see how it's warming it up? I can take the sky color, the red here, and I can come over the water and warm it up. Let's take some yellow. I'm clicking the mouse. Because it's transparent, each click gives you like a little wash, so you have to click it over and over and over again to get it. So it's a very intuitive program. I learned it all myself, all right? So I never took a lesson on how to use Photoshop. It's so simple, you can figure it out yourself. You just, I know it may seem scary. There's all these things. It's like, what's going on here? This is far too complex. Trust me, just watch a 20-minute introduction to Photoshop tutorial on YouTube and you're ready to go, all right? It's a fantastic tool. I don't think my art would be nearly as high quality as it is without this tool. Turn the opacity up and I can add reflection in the water. I don't know if I'll paint this necessarily, but it's pretty cool, right? All right, folks, thank you for watching. Hopefully you learned something from this art tip. I will say you don't have to use Photoshop for this. A lot of times I won't even do it in Photoshop. I'll pull up the painting of the landscape down here. I'll pull up that photograph rather, and I'll just draw it in, and then I'll pull up the sunset photograph and I'll just paint from the sunset. So I won't even bother making one of these. But if you're a beginner or an intermediate level painter, I would suggest doing this in Photoshop and using these references to paint from, because the reference or whatever your subject is 90% of the battle. Most of the failures I see in the art critiques, most of the paintings that I think fail, are generally because people are trying to paint photographs that just aren't good. They're not going to translate into a painting. You have a job to do with a photograph. You have to turn that photograph use your creative license and turn it into an engaging image. It's almost unheard of where you're just going to go and snap a photo or find a photo on the internet that's good enough to just copy. I alter almost everything to make it better to improve the composition, create more dynamic sense of light and color, all of that stuff. Alrighty, thanks.